In Focus, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican from Tennessee and member of the Judiciary Committee. She's also running for governor. Senator, you just finished questioning Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. First of all, give us a couple of top lines from that.
I think it's important to note one of the things he pointed out. Crime, violent crime, is at the lowest level since 1900s. We need to realize 1900 was the last time that you had violent crime rates at this level. That is what the American people want to see. When I talk to Tennesseans, Harris, they want to make certain their communities are safe. And under President Trump, they are delivering this. We talked in the hearing about Memphis and the great crime stats that we're seeing, cutting violent crime in half in Memphis with the Memphis Safe Task Force and the partnership that is from your local, state, and federal level. That is important. We also touched on fraud, and Tennesseans want to see proper use of their taxpayer money. They want to root out fraud. So we know that is an accomplishment, and he has been able to talk about that this morning also. And of course, we have to touch on Judge Boasberg and Jack Smith and the abuses that took place under the Biden DOJ.
All right, before we get to that, I want to lean in on what you were talking about with fraud, because we have something we can take live right now. This fraud hearing has a couple of issues about it right now. For one, you've got some testimony from the person I kind of call as a fraud-busting hero. Nick Shirley is there, and you've got political activist James O'Keefe there, and a lot of Republicans in the room. And I think we have a shot of the empty seats all the way to the right. Yeah, right screen, and then off to the right of that, empty seats where Democrats would be sitting. I mean, how does this play out? Dems don't care about defrauding the American people?
They don't want to know the truth about this. You look at what happened in Minnesota with Tim Walz. You look what's happened in California. You look at these areas that have just basically turned a blind eye and have let people move forward with fraud. During my portion of the questioning, we talked about the Fraud Accountability Act, which would make it a denaturalizing and deportable event for individuals that have come to this country, that have been naturalized and came here, defrauded the American public, local, state, federal governments, or defrauded individuals. Because, you know, one of the most pressing crimes on our nation's elderly is the fact that you have these fraud dens that call them and scam them and take their life savings.
Well, we have seen the Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche front and center on that issue. And so are you anticipating a confirmation when that comes up in August?
We have the votes on our side of the dais. We will send him out of committee with a vote. We will confirm him on the floor. We have the votes to do that. Todd Blanche is doing a wonderful job. President Trump was correct in nominating him to be the Attorney General. He is very diligent in how he carries forth these duties. You can look at what he's delivering when it comes to violent crime, when it comes to accountability, when it comes to fighting fraud. And he is serving the American people well and will continue to do so.
Senator, you just mentioned this former Special Counsel Jack Smith's Arctic frost investigation. And Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley reports that Jack Smith obtained text messages from 44 members of Congress, bypassing a required review process. So he broke the rules to break in to get people's messages. Among them, Senator Josh Hawley posted, "Joe Biden's DOJ not only tapped my phone, I just learned they illegally obtained my texts with members of President Trump's administration. Everyone involved needs to be prosecuted," end of quote. Also, Senator Rand Paul, who said this is a blatant abuse of power and exactly what our founders warned about. They both pointed to previous interviews, which Jack Smith publicly denied what he had done.
Did the toll records that you requested from the senators, did they include the content of the phone calls?
No.
The records that you requested, the toll records from the members of Congress, include the content of text messages?
No.
Did you seek a search warrant for the content of any text messages from members?
From members?
Yeah.
No, I don't recall.
Okay, it was just toll records.
Correct.
Now, Senator, you have a bit of a history here, too, unfortunately.
Yes, I do.
Last year, Senator Grassley
Yes.
revealed that Jack Smith also obtained phone records of 10 GOP lawmakers, including you and the late Senator Lindsey Graham, also on that list. Look, when you hear Jack Smith now talking and knowing what you know on the Hill now about what he did or potentially did, what's your reaction?
I think about something my kids would say. If your lips are moving, you're lying. That is what I look at Jack Smith and think. He got those phone records. We have this list so far of the members that he also got text messages from. And Harris, just like with the phone tolling and those records, that list grew. We certainly expect text messages, emails, banking records, all sorts of information that he got on members of Congress. And the thing we see, they're all Republican, and the people they went after were people that were talking to President Trump and his administration. Wow. So, you know, his lips are moving, so he must be lying. That, I think, is something that we need to think about anytime we hear Jack Smith come up and try to play another game of CYA. The American people are on to what he did. They are on to how he tried to circumvent the law. Wow. They are on to the fact that he broke the law to help Joe Biden and to go after Donald Trump.
Look, when I hear you say that, though, there are a lot of enemies, right? And
yes.
The one thing that goes through my mind is, what if he wasn't careful with that information? What if his team wasn't careful with that information, or something untoward on purpose? You don't want that information falling into the wrong hands. Your last very quick thought on that.
Yes, and that is the thing. We do not know what he got from who. We do not how he used it. We do not know where he sent it. This is why we have to get to the bottom of Arctic frost and find out how many individuals had their rights violated by Jack Smith.
Senator Blackburn, always great to have you in focus. Thank you. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.